43, Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday night is here once again, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, the flagship show of everything we do here at E2C Network. We got episode 154 coming your way. As always, 2 major topics to cover in the Auburn sports, culture, and family space, and we'll try to catch you up on all the other Auburn stuff in Auburn potpourri. All that's coming up for you guys right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff, and apparently as well, Auburn Christmas too. Easier way to say it. As we said, Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. As always, I'm here to discuss with you guys for episode 154 of the Auburn Experience podcast. My name is Kyle. Alongside me in his most merry, jolliest persona ever, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. I even threw you off because if it's orange and blue, it's what we do.
I knew I forgot one line.
Another wardrobe change pre-show to live show for Kyle. War Eagle to you, Kyle. War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. Hope everyone's doing well, and the time is approaching. That's for sure.
It's so nice to see you actually indulging in this just a little bit more. Like, to me, like, you leave me hanging in November when I'm already there, like bringing out the Christmas lights, putting creepy Auburn Santa in the background. He's not there tonight for those of you that are watching live, obviously in a different location, but it's nice to see you in your most festive. And I must add, quite the Auburn. I would not call it an ugly Auburn sweater because There's nothing ugly about Auburn, even if their record's ugly. But that's where'd you get that? Like, is that handmade? Like,
oh gosh, no. This is a thrift find at some point. I think it was in the last year, and so because I didn't wear it last year, so yeah, it's been sitting in the closet waiting all year.
Well, some people would say that's where it needed to say, probably, but I love it.
So. I mean, it's good. I can show it off a little bit more, but I got
show and tell at lunch.
That's right. It is full on AU. So it's
nice.
not too bad either. It's going to get in the 20s here tomorrow, so it might be worth having around.
There's a great segue for this because, Austin, I was just thinking about this today. That great snow that we had last year across the Southeast, but especially in Auburn. And I was blessed enough to be in town for that and chronicle that for you guys. Some of our most popular content of the entire year was that February snowstorm. So I would be shocked if that happened again for you, Austin, since you are a resident there. But certainly if it were to occur again, I would do my best to get down there and chronicle that again, because there's nothing. The Auburn family is awesome, but like Auburn people and Auburn students just realizing they actually can have a true snow day, that was just a full-on blast. So I hope maybe it's going to happen for you.
It ended up being a snow week, and with little ones, that meant daycare was closed. So I would be happy with a snow day, singular day. Again, I think that'd be a blast. But snow week, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's in the 20s. Honestly, this weather this week got me thinking this is going to have some people roll their eyes, but home playoff games are still to be played this year. And one day a home playoff game will be played in Jordan Air Stadium in the thick of December. And that sounds like a dream to me in this kind of weather. I would be fired up. Now, this upcoming weekend, when the actual schedule rolls into place, it's going to be like mid-40s, which is still just as good. That sounds wonderful too. But one day, Kyle, that will happen, and we will be it will be 20 degrees, and we will be in Jordan-Hare Stadium cheering the Tigers on. And who knows? Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. We'll see if it actually happens. A lot to figure out in that meantime. And certainly, look, certain people got to see Jordan-Hare covered in snow last year. And
That's
I
right.
want that for the Auburn. I want that with the, people. So if you are some of those individuals, not naming any names, surely no one associated with the show got to see that or anything like that. But certainly you've seen the clips and the videos of what transpired and how beautiful that looked. That would be awesome. I didn't expect us to go the snow route in this one, but
certainly.
I guess your attire kind of dictated that this week already. It's awesome. I don't really have anything big this week for us, Auburn, like personally Auburn related, other than when we are back in studio. For those of you that can hear the difference, see the difference, I'm not in studio, not too far away from studio, actually, just spending some time with family. But I don't know that you'll see a difference on next week's show, maybe even the next one. But coming up here right at as Christmas gets over with, or right on that time, the studio might have a little bit new stuff in there. Nothing major, just some extra stuff to kind of maybe change some things up in there. We'll see if you guys like the changes or not when I actually get around to making them. So that's really the only, I guess, podcast related thing or Auburn related thing that I've had going on, other than the busyness of what we're going to talk about this week. So the lights are still, the studio is as it is right now, but it will hopefully change. The big piece of furniture that I needed arrived early for Christmas.
Right.
And I had to play Santa for myself and actually go get it. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. What else? Anything for you going on this week other than the typical?
With just the Christmas festivities and watching the joy and magic come to life in a couple 2-year-olds' eyes. I'm cheating by skipping into our potpourri here, but we got to go see the Christmas gingerbread village at the Laurel Hotel and Spa. Might I say, got a big upgrade this year. I don't know if this crop of artists was just on their A game, but just the best I've ever seen it. Truly, like put together well, some extra flair here and there, just looked really crisp and professional. That is, I've said this before. I think I've said this every year we've done a show around the holidays. That is one of my favorite things to do at Christmas time around Auburn, is goes for all the way back until when I was a student in college, is to go see the gingerbread village of all the various Auburn notable locations and buildings around town. And this year there were some additions, but it was very, very well done this year. If you are in town, if you have the opportunity to go see that, I highly encourage it. It's now in the bottom of the Laurel Hotel and Spa. And it gives you a chance to check that out too. But man, it is very, very cool. I've asked you before, but you've seen it at some point, right?
I have not.
Never. Really?
If I have seen it, because they do it in the Laurel Hotel and that hasn't been around forever, but they used to do it where else did they used to do it?
It would have been in the normal University Hotel and Conference Center.
If I saw it, I don't remember it, and that's a shame on my part. But I certainly will add that. Yeah, listen, we have reason to pass through and buy Auburn during the holidays, so you never know. Might have to put that on. Talked about last week. I finally went to a version of Amsterdam Cafe for the first time ever. So I got my Auburn card back there. I don't think I need to submit that to you right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Just making sure. I will do my best. Can I make a proposal to you, sir?
Yes.
About this gingerbread house thing. Now, it's going to be a little bit difficult because students will be out unless they do, and they won't really want to do that leading up to finals. But what if, just like with homecoming, we had a gingerbread house contest for the different groups, fraternities, sororities, everybody that does the homecoming floats, but you do your version, I guess you could all do the same thing, Sanford Hall or whatever you want, or just your own version of create a gingerbread display representing something of Auburn. So Jordan-Hare, Neville Arena, J.B. Moore, whatever you want to do downtown, the lovely little downtown as well. Just a proposal I'd like to throw out. Don't know how it would. The students probably. I definitely
think you did well. And finals creeps in there, and there's lots of studying for that. But I like it. I think that I think every group should have to pick their own. Like you got to pick your own place, just like you pick your own theme for homecoming, and everybody's surprised by who has the most creativity and all that. I don't think I want to see 20 Sanford Halls, but I do want to see what people would pick and how that would get done. I would love to see someone do the Haley Center. That'd be impressive. I think you could do a lot of fun things with it.
You could also make the people that are still lost in it from the 1970s,
That's
like
right.
just find them like waving a white flag out the window. Help! I can't get out of quadrant 4021A, whatever it's called, or something like that. And listen, what a great time to do Haley with discussions out there about the future of Haley.
That's right.
Let's commemorate
kind of
it in gingerbread.
A live representation of it getting knocked over.
Wow. Triggering right there. Speaking of finals week is this week, correct? If I'm not mistaken, for the university.
Just happened. So we just had, it's already done. Commencement was this weekend, man. It's we've got a new crop of alums and kids are done. So this week is last week of working for faculty and staff, a wink, wink. And so it should be pretty scarce. Here's the word I'm looking for. That's scarce around campus, and kids. Church was thin today in the college section. They've dispersed.
They have dispersed off. Listen, I've always felt like the winter graduation, and maybe summer too, to extent, but just always gets kind of left behind because the main one is the spring, and then you've also got the holidays that kind of take. So to me, maybe just a quick, I don't want to call it debate, but just do you agree with this? Think about, you got fall that's kind of a fall graduation, which ends in the winter. So winter graduation, I guess, if you want to call it that. That kind of gets stuck there in the middle of Christmas and all that kind of stuff. Then you've got summer, which is just summer. There's less of them anyway, but that doesn't have anything necessarily competing with it. And then spring's unto itself. I feel like the if you call it a lesser of them, not diminishing you graduating from Auburn, that is awesome. But like that one kind of gets the shaft a little bit there in my mind. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obviously winter and summer. I've been to more winter ones than I have summer ones. I've only been to one summer one. That was my sister. And it was, I don't remember how many ceremonies there were, but it was very little. The winter ones, I think I just had a couple people, like when I was in school, graduate early or graduate one. They didn't do summer semester. They graduated one semester after. But I've been to a few of those, and it felt bigger, I guess, just because maybe there's more, 9 semester tracks that, or you change your major once and puts you back one more semester. Or, hey, look, there's probably some smart people out there who say, oh, I could go through the summer and get my degree at the end of the July, or I could stick it out for one more football season. And I think those are probably the real intelligent people there.
Either way, as you said, a new crop of those joining into the subsect of the Auburn family. It's not the only Auburn family, obviously. Just because you didn't graduate from Auburn makes you any less part of it. But special little group that are alumni. So early Christmas presents for those of you that made it. Congratulations. Hope you enjoyed your time at Auburn, and welcome to the alumni family. Kind of wrapping up our potpourri, because today, frankly, we've got so much that we're going to talk about. Yes, we know that on top of a lot of football stuff, we're getting to that. There was other sports schedules announced, spring sports, especially baseball, softball, I believe tennis as well, got all theirs out. We're going to just kind of put those to the side for a little bit and spend more time on them next week so that we can get to their things. But before we do that, the last part of potpourri, we won't spend a full main segment on basketball this week because the women have been off forever, pretty much. Yeah. But also the men have this weird time during the most difficult stretch of this schedule, I think, too. And the debate is still raging, which is worse, last year's schedule or this year's schedule. But they're only playing a game a week. And the only one that we have to talk about is the State Farm Arena game, the holiday hoops giving a game against Chattanooga. I think a lot of people were not super excited about this one because the story goes that there was a higher profile opponent scheduled to be there that backed out, forcing Chattanooga to accept that space. And, it's a mid-major program where their name doesn't garner as much excitement. Now, if you know your basketball, you'll know that Chattanooga has not been team that you need to dismiss out of hand and coming from the mid majors. And they kind of showed that a little bit against this. Once again, Bruce Pearl, when he was the head coach, Stephen Pearl and his staff now always do a good job of scheduling those smaller teams, mid-major teams that are going to be either reigning or expected to win their particular conference, meaning they're going to be the best of that level. Now, you always have a cupcake or two on your schedule. This was not one of those, but I think it was surprising for folks that at times how much Auburn struggled a little bit with Chattanooga, which I think it ended up being a 14-point win. Never got beyond 16, and there was a razor thin lead there at 2 points in the middle of it. Kind of made people a little bit worried. So, what do you think, Austin? Just digesting very quickly the Chattanooga game. Anything to be worried about? Certainly, the news about Emeka Oporom being out for the season is in there too. Or is this a lot of the layoff affecting things, injuries, illnesses all combined together? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that I certainly understand maybe the cry for it should have been a little bit better of a handled game by Auburn. I think when you look at their success in the Holiday Hoops Giving, that it shows that. And like you said, there's no question that Chattanooga was picked to win the SoCon. They won the NIT last year, so a very good coaching staff, and just haven't really been healthy enough to put everything together so far this year. With that said, though, Auburn is the bigger team, better team in terms of what they can do from a roster standpoint and all the talent. They just haven't. So I understand people not being super excited about how the game went. At the end of the day, it's a win. And I think Auburn got to figure out some things. Obviously, we know Elijah Freeman came off the bench. Sounds like that was a request from him throughout the week. And Stephen Williams-Adams continues to do good things and got from a starting role, was able to do that this week. So I think you saw another great game from Tahad away from Neville Arena. But nonetheless, another great game from Tahad. You got to take it. And then, so I understand the frustration, but at the end of the day, it's a win. And it's a place that Auburn has had a lot of success in recruiting and in playing. And I thought that, Randall Dickey on the radio broadcast put it really well, that you never know. Like last year, Auburn had to win in that building, get to their Final Four. You never know when you'll be back playing in an arena like that. So Auburn got a chance to do that. And hopefully that pays off maybe down the road if they get to play in that kind of setting again. But at the end of the day, it's a win. It's another – I think that resume – that team will be a good spot on Auburn's resume come March, because Chattanooga, if they get healthy, which, I mean, they've been everything but – if they get healthy, they'll do everything they can to win the SoCon and try and punch their own ticket to the dance. And you need as many of those on your resume as you can when you're trying to compare where you're going to move in seeding.
Yeah, they took another hit in that game, too, with one of their guys hurt his ankle. I think on Tahad actually landing on him or rolling over Todd's foot or something like that. So to your point about their injuries, too, I love that you brought up Sway, Sebastian Williams-Adams, as he's become
Sebastian. Why did I call him Stephen?
I think you're right. I've just gotten used to now with the acronym for him, because it's so much easier having to say Sebastian Williams. Sorry, Sebastian. I think you even are probably fine with it too. But Sway, as his teammates have called him. I think this is a big moment here for him, with Emeka Oporom now out with that undisclosed issue that's going to keep him out for the rest of the season, which we're obviously going to be in prayer for him about. That's going to present opportunities for even more than he already was, Sebastian Sway, to be able to be utilized even more. And even though he was starting and seeing more time than Emeka, that's been a cause of concern for people with the big men out there. So that's an opportunity. But were you aware, and I think I've got this correct, that Coach Pearl talked about this in his press conference. I think coming into the game, he was leading an assist on the team in terms of some category where he was surprisingly higher up in the assist. And I believe he led last night, or was close to leading in assists last night too.
Yeah.
So, big moments for him.
Yeah, no kidding. That caught me by surprise too. And I have not gone and checked that myself. But yeah, I was surprised to hear that. And obviously it continues to show just how good of a year and how big of a production Auburn's getting out of him that they might not have expected.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. Hope he utilized the opportunity, and certainly we'll see if there's anything that comes from the Emeka Oporum news. Obviously, he's out for the year, but hopefully that's going to be something that can be rectified, and we can see him back in the orange and blue next season. But more opportunities for others to take advantage of. So there you have it. The Holiday Hoops Giving event in the book. Auburn beats Chattanooga. Check one off again in that category. They continue to perform well in the state of Georgia and in Atlanta. That'll do it for Potpourri. We are going to spend another time of our episode being nothing but football, and it's not even technically football season for Auburn anymore. The transition continues, and with the transition, even if there was there'd be schedules and all this stuff to talk about coming out. But right now in this segment, what we want to focus on is what is essentially, as of us doing this show on a Sunday evening, late Sunday evening, on December 14th, a mostly complete football staff. Now, certainly there are support roles, things that most people don't pay attention to that are still going to be continuing to be filled, rolled out, all that stuff. But a lot of the major pieces, even the ones off the field, have been brought into the fold and now have officially announced. We talked about that last week. There were so many that we could have already talked about, but we wanted to wait till there was a little bit of time to talk about this. So let's do that, Austin. Let's spend some time analyzing what is going to be your new Auburn football 2026 and hopefully many, many years beyond staff led by head coach Alex Galesh. We're going to start with the offensive side of the ball. And I know we talked about him last week, but we're going to just start right here because he's not only your co-offensive coordinator, he is also your associate head coach. He is also your wide receivers coach. And he is also number one in my little Auburn loving heart. And that is one Cody Burns.
Love
the man.
Number one.
In my Auburn football heart. Number one is my wife.
Number one in your Auburn football loving heart.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Cadillac. I'm sorry. I forgot.
I don't think so.
I'm so overjoyed right now to have Cody back that I get everything all mixed up. So let's get everything right in order. Obviously, my Lord and Savior. There goes my wife, somebody else I can't talk about yet. and then
I wondered.
And then we got Cody, Cadillac and Cody. And then we'll just stop it there. That's the top five right there. All right. So I'm trying to dig that hole.
I was about to say that hole's getting dug.
Really, really bad there. So let me work through the offensive staff and not dig myself a hole any further. Cody Burns is back, associate head coach. We knew this was happening. Rob, obviously, he was not only there on campus from the day one with Coach Galesh. He was, talked about. It just wasn't official until they got everything worked out. And I'm sure it was a little bit of the stuff we're going to talk about. No, Marcus Davis is not coming back, maybe going somewhere else. We're not going to focus on where that is, but he's back in the fold. I think the biggest takeaway for me with Cody Burns being back is how much he has grown as a coach, from being someone that maybe people thought, well, are we just giving him a position because he's Cody Burns? But no, he's paid his dues. He's been a bunch of different places at different conferences. And this is a guy that is worthy of what he does for Auburn, but also what he's done in his career of being named the associate coach, of being entrusted with being also some responsibilities for co-offensive coordinator. So, I love it. I can gush about it for days. Anything else you want to say about Cody?
Yeah, well, I've seen some that are a little, skeptical of maybe just because of how the receiver play was when Cody was here last. And I think he was very young in his coaching journey. I don't think it was necessarily bad when he was here last. It was a different offense, different time. And there just wasn't a lot of offensive production from the passing game during that time anyway. So I think he might have been the scapegoat. But I think that he's obviously been a bunch of places. He's been at the Saints. He's been at Tennessee, which is where he and Coach Golish connected. And then obviously they have stayed or connected on a professional level. I think they've known each other for a long time personally. But then obviously they have kind of been tied at the hip from Tennessee on. And there's been lots of conversation and talk from Alex Golish about how even through all the years, whether it never seemed like a possibility that Auburn has been whispering sweet Auburn things in the Coach Alex Golish's ear for a long time. That was really cool to hear from him talk about and say, even himself say, of course it's cool. It's your alma mater. I think my alma mater is awesome too. And Cody just kept reminding him, no, it's something very different. And obviously we all recognize that. We all echo that same sentiment. And even Alex Golesh said that's something he's beginning to already see. And I look forward to getting to see just how special this place is even more, and how great it is that he has someone like Cody Burns to be able to continue to remind him of that, show him those certain things on and on.
Yeah, I love having him back. I mean, I'm just not going to make it creepy anymore, because it's just going to get weird. I'm talking how much I love having Cody Burns here, and that's probably all I have to add to that other than that. But I just want people to do their research on him. Make sure you go see where he's been, what he's been involved with, what he's been entrusted with. And I know a lot of it, some of the maybe questions come from Marcus Davis has done such a good job of bringing in the talent while he's been here and in that role, that wide receiver position. And certainly it sucks to see one Auburn person leave in lieu of another one. But I don't think you can argue what Cody Burns does for Auburn in terms of his ability to sell Auburn as the, you got these guys that are on pedestals, Dylan Cardwell, and then you've got your Cody Burns as well for those two particular sports. Certainly it's huge. So let's move over to the other side of the ball. Sorry, not the other side of the ball, the other side of the offensive coordinator position. Let's talk about our brand new offensive coordinator, at least in title, because we've got a co-situation there. You got Joel Gordon, who is one of the guys that has been with Coach Golesh over at his last stop there in offensive coordinator position. What else do you think about him? What do you think about the role's going to be in terms of play calling? Just your overall thoughts about Coach Gordon.
Yeah, Coach Golesh said again in his press conference this week, which was kind of the signing day press conference, kind of the him announcing staff hires press conference, just take things a little bit later and all that. But he talked, I think if I'm remembering right, he called Coach Gordon one of the smartest men he's ever been around in the football world, and spoke very highly of him. I want to say, I could be very wrong, I want to say they started together at Iowa State when he was there as a recruiting coordinator under who else was it? It was Matt Campbell. There was two other guys that are head coaches now in today's college football, and they were like the grunt guys under those guys. And so they've worked their way up together, but we'll talk about other staff members, and so I'm going to say this to kind of preface this, but I think Alex Golesh has done a really good job in, obviously there's going to be some people he brings from South Florida. That's just going to happen. Like, he's going to come in and he's going to bring some guys he trusts, and he's going to bring some guys that he's put in the work with and reward those guys as well. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but he's going to give them the opportunity at this level, just like he's getting to make a name for themselves at, let's just, no disrespect at all whatsoever to South Florida, but at big time, big boy SEC football. Now, I think he's done an incredible job of not just bringing the entire staff, not just making sure everybody's getting a free ride, but also looking at his options of what he has and other connections he has that are also at that same big boy level and bringing them in as well. With that said, Joel Gordon is one that's been with him for a while and is coming from South Florida, and I think is doing a great job. Has done a great job in making sure the culture that Alex Golesh wants to bring and the offense that he wants to bring or wants to implement has been done at all the other stops. So I'm looking forward to seeing him be the OC. I do not remember if he was asked about play calling. I want to say that he said Coach Gordon calls plays that he has override. Or I know that he mentioned it's a tandem effort. Everybody freaked out about that.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me, hold on, are you telling me that it's not unheard of for there to be an offensive coordinator who's the primary offensive coordinator and an offensive-minded head coach might have override powers? You're telling me that's not a new concept?
Pretty shocking, isn't it?
It's mind-blowing.
Go make a few tweets about it real quick and get everybody else stirred up. Look, and I, it's funny, and I understand where people are coming from to a sense. Like, the head coach is holding a play sheet. Why is he holding a play sheet if he's not calling plays? I think there's some things that you're just never getting rid of as a guy when you're a play caller like that or have been a play caller like that before. But I think what's more important in this scenario is that he and Coach Gordon and Coach Golish have been tied and are very close in what they want to do, and it seems to be a very good marriage and very good match in that sense to implement the offense they want to see it, which has been successful.
Yeah, obviously the success is there at that particular level. We'll see how it works in the SEC and how it can work at Auburn, or it may not work at all. Obviously, we're all a little gun shy, but that's your new offensive coordinator. Obviously, Cody Burns having a little bit of that co-title with there, and how that's all going to flesh out. We'll learn with time, and we'll just have to put a little bit of faith and trust in the new coaching staff that they know what they're doing, and that we don't necessarily have to question them as much as we think we have to do as fans. At least to start off with, let's give them some leeway. All right, let's do running backs. Larry Porter, certainly a familiar name for Auburn to bring back in as a running back coach, and coming back home once here as the Auburn tight ends. At the time, we had the H-back position under that regime,
yes.
And he was also a recruiter.
Who do you think of when you say H-back? Only one name.
Gus Malzahn.
No, a player.
Jay Proshi.
Correct.
Or Chandler Cox pretty much had a staple.
He was part-time QB.
He was part-time QB. Lord, we're just trying to get things started up here on the social media tonight. So welcoming him back to Auburn. I mean, you look at this guy's resume. He has been everywhere, certainly with the majority of his experience being running backs. He's had some tight ends. He's had some special teams coordinators, things like that. West Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, LSU, Memphis, Arkansas State, Oklahoma State, Tennessee. I mean, just everywhere up and down, and certainly has some ties to Auburn. Even though he's not listed here as the recruiting coordinator for Auburn, that role has been technically, I guess you'd say, moved off the field into those types of positions. You got to know that this is a guy who knows how to sell Auburn, given his experience here. This is a guy who's had the experience recruiting, and then Auburn being running back I bet this is a guy that wants to come here and reestablish that, where we've been in a time where running backs maybe haven't been utilized as much as, at least for me, the preference would be. Not saying that that's wrong or anything like that, but with even Coach Golish saying we're going to run the ball more than you're used to. I love that. So welcome back, Larry Porter. I know it probably excites you having an Auburn guy back. It's not always the best thing to just get Auburn guys for the sake of it, but having someone who knows Auburn is a big thing.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think I certainly remember his time here well. You look at his resume and you just read some of it out. He's been at a lot of places that has played those big boy football, like I was talking about earlier. I think he's got a track record of having running backs play for him that end up being very good, both in the recruiting standings and that turn out production on the field. I think that he's somebody, like you said, who can sell Auburn because he's been here, but can also sell it in the sense of look, I've got the list. I've been around the block a time or two. Here's the guys that I know how to put out and what we can help you do. And I think it gives even more credence to, like you were just saying, Coach Golish saying everything that comes out of the run for this offense. It may look pass happy, it may look air raid, it may look like we're going to sling it up and down the field left and right, but everything is built off the run. I think this gives a lot of credence and credibility to that statement because you're hiring a big time guy who has a very big history of finding dudes who can run the ball.
And that's what Auburn fans love the most, is running the
Absolutely.
ball well. And listen, I will be all for that. So a new era for Auburn running backs begins under Larry Porter and obviously Coach Golish, but I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table and bringing and reestablishing running back youth. If you're going to run the ball well, you got to have an offensive line that's going to block. And so that means regime change there as well. I think that's probably a welcome change for a lot of people, although I don't necessarily criticize one person. I think you and I have chronicled offensive line at Auburn for
the whole show.
Feels like decades.
The entirety
Austin.
We've done this show. Yeah.
The entirety we've done the show, which is not that long, but even beyond that, Auburn offensive lines have not been consistent. And I think there have been times that they have been good in particular games, maybe even for a small stretch of time, but it has never been consistent. Some of that has been because of attrition or for injuries, things like that. But some of it's just been because it just hasn't worked for whatever reason. And I continue to subscribe to this theory now that Calvin Ashley, that not working out, that last major star that came in, transferring away, like not working out, is like the point thing. It's the, what do you call it? The point in those time time travel movies where everything changed, the butterfly effect.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that's where we're at. Anyway, that's not what we're trying to talk about here. New offensive line coach, and might I add, his title of running game coordinator or run game coordinator, Tyler Hudnick, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm going to do my best, guys. So, Hudnick. Whatever. Tyler, Coach Hudnick, is going to be our new offensive line coach. I think probably he is going to be the one that has the most eyes on him and how his unit's going to do. You think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And I think if you're the offensive line coach, run game coordinator makes a lot of sense. That there's someone that is kind of focused on making sure you get the guys in and develop the guys in to make that run game work and thus make the offense work as a whole. That's everything they've told us. So I'm excited to see where Tyler Hudnick takes the offensive line. I think like you said, he will be closely studied by the Auburn family, and probably be overly studied for better or for worse in a lot of areas. But I think more than anywhere, that is a place in a position group Auburn wants to see fixed finally. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what he does with the staff. He obviously has been in a lot of big time places. Did you see where he played, Kyle?
I'm pulling it down the screen right here, right now.
He has a national championship ring.
He does. Wow, you're really just trying to get people stirred up tonight. He does technically have a national championship ring. Listen, we can't say much. We're claiming, everybody's claiming.
That's very true.
So nobody can question them at this point. He is a former member of the UCF.
He was a 2018 grad of UCF. That means he and I are the same age.
How does that make you feel?
That is strange. I'm here wearing 2 pieces of Auburn Christmas clothing with you.
And he's making a lot more money than you coaching football.
He is in the Waltos Arena or center right now, hopefully fixing our offensive line. So but good for him. And I think everybody if you don't want Tyler Hudnick to be successful, you're excited to just continue to see offensive woes. Yes. So he is a very key, important cog here.
I'll tell you this. If this doesn't get fixed, it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator is, the offensive line coach, doesn't matter who the scheme is, doesn't matter the head coach. If this does not get fixed, we will be doing this again in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Offensive line has to get better. And that's not a reflection on Tyler yet. It is certainly going to be his responsibility primarily first to get fixed. But that is the area that is going to be of probably more interest than it typically is on most other teams right now. All right, so that's the offensive staff. Just as a quick clarifier, there has been no tight ends coach named as of us doing this, but I would also add that Coach Golish has had experience doing tight ends as well. I don't anticipate him to be responsible for a position group himself, but we'll wait and see what happens with tight ends, and certainly we can report on at that time. With the defensive side, we have already talked about DJ Durkin, the importance of that. There needs to be nothing else said other than it was the smartest move that Coach Golish can make in his first several hours and days being at Auburn. Well done on that. Vontrell King-Williams, I certainly we can talk a little bit if you'd like to, but I don't know that there's much else that needs to be said. He's an up-and-comer and certainly another Auburn guy piece. He's been here for a while. He knows how to sell Auburn, and you can see that the pedigree is there for him to rise. So I think the value speaks for itself, and we already know what we're getting with Coach Vontrell King-Williams being back. So let's move into those that we don't know and need to spend a little bit more time on today. So I'll start us with let's do Coleman Hutzler. Bucks and edge, and it's so confusing for me, Austin, because we call bucks and edges, but then kind of outside linebackers fall into this role. We have another. Let's do them together. How about that? So we got Coleman Hutzler with bucks and edges, and then we've got Brad Wilson, who was like the first defensive staff member named outside of retaining DJ. He just wasn't given the title to now. Outside linebackers kind of coming in together. What would your overall take be on those, either one or both individuals and those positions for you?
Yeah, well, Coleman Hutzler, the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State last year. So that should make your eyebrows stand up first and foremost. He's been in a position in this league that is over the entire defense. That'll be a trend on this staff. So you have to feel good about getting a lot of experience of overseeing a lot of how things are supposed to work, a lot of how things, not just his position group, but can give insight into how a lot of things work with DJ Durkin. I think he's a guy who values input from a lot of guys, and especially with guys that have been on the same spot, same scenario or same level that he's been on. And Coleman Hutzler is certainly one of those as a former SEC defensive coordinator. I think I'm excited for him to get the bucks and edges and outside linebackers group. Brad Wilson, I think, like you said, I think these guys will work tandem and well. I think that, but I think Coleman Hutzler too is brought in a lot for his recruiting. I think you saw, I think it was Chandler Wooten earlier this week.
Yes.
Quoted the announcement of Coleman Hutzler coming to Auburn. And I don't remember where Coleman Hutzler was when he was recruiting Chandler, but obviously Chandler ended up coming to Auburn. But Chandler said, when I was getting recruited, this guy was on me nonstop, and he was great. He was like, I wanted to play for Auburn, so I went to Auburn, but he was a guy who was trying to get me to whatever school he was at a lot, and just stayed on me and was saying very high praises for what he's going to do on the recruiting side. Obviously, the defensive side in recruiting has not trailed off all that much. That DJ Durkin was retained, that was a big part of it. He's done a great job, but you love to add even more to firepower to that staff on the recruiting side too. So I love that hire, and I love that you acquire more intelligence from SEC defensive coordinators on this staff.
You need a resume for Coach Hutzler. Obviously, Mississippi State last year, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, even though it wasn't SEC at the time, South Carolina, Florida. I mean, that's about as
big boy football.
Big boy football. He has the experience, variety of different things. He's also been involved in special teams in the past. So that just kind of gives you the pedigree with which he is coming in here as well. Obviously, we don't know a ton about Brad Wilson other than that he's a USF guy being brought in. You can go look at his resume and see maybe it's not as extensive as some others, at least in, like, you compare Brad Wilson's and Hutzler's, you see SEC, and then just some new things. But certainly, as you talk about, there is an importance of a head coach being able to bring in his guys, knowing how he wants things done, people that he can trust, even if that means you have to lose some of the staff previously. So that's your linebackers, your edges. Vontrell King-Williams was the whole defensive line of what it's called now, even though it's mainly just the interior part of it now. Linebackers is DJ Durkin, which brings us finally to the defensive back group for this particular coaching staff. And I think this one certainly was of interest with some people coming in and leaving, things like that. DeMarcus Van Dyke, assistant coach for cornerbacks. This one felt very much a good addition. And what I mean by good is there was not a lot of consternation about it, even though you're replacing Wesley McGriff, who has been here at Auburn a lot, there and back again. A lot of people love him, his recruiting ability, crime dog. But this is a opportunity for someone to pass on the torch, as he put it himself, to a protege and someone that he coached back in his day, because Coach Crime Dog's been around. So that's a feel-good story out of all of this. And it seems like there's a lot of recruits, former players that are really resonating with this. So a lot of celebration for him being brought over and added to the staff under Coach Galesh. So I think that's a big one as well. But also just adding in on the defensive back side, you've got safeties coming in, another defensive coordinator, Tim Banks, coming over from Tennessee. He's going to be co-defensive coordinator and safety. So this is the defensive back group together. We're talking about certainly two different storylines, one with a lot of, I think, positives and one with a little bit of questions too. And maybe whatever you want to touch on in that group particularly, or that pair of groups. What do you?
Yeah, I think people are, like you said, the maybe ending of Wesley McGriff's time here as an on-field coach is a bit sad, but because it's just been obvious. I think he's probably been back on the Auburn staff in the 154 episodes Kyle and I have been doing this. He's probably been back on staff like 10 times since we've started doing this. I feel like at least a quarter of our episodes have been like, hey, Wesley McGriff's back. But to see him, he has wanted to be at Auburn and stay in Auburn and be in Auburn. And so to see his time kind of end amicably, and I think you'll see him around in different capacities here. But to see him get to kind of pass the torch, like they said, to Marcus Van Dyke is very cool. I really am excited about him. I think he's very similar, like you said, to Vontrell King Williams, but an up-and-comer who has a lot of energy, and who has just been itching for their chance to get on this big stage. I loved the pictures of them together now, and then when Coach Crime was coaching him at Miami. I think DeMarcus Van Dyke is someone we can be very excited about, to see how he does on the recruiting side, but also coach up the DBs in this new era. I think the players are probably going to love him a lot. Like you said, with Tim Banks, another former SEC defensive coordinator, 3 SEC defensive coordinators on one staff. Certainly, I understand there's some people who find this 2 of them were fired. I totally understand that. It doesn't change the fact they've seen this league and they've seen what didn't work, what did work, what has to be done to win in this league. And now you've got 2 of them laser focused on certain position groups. So I'm really excited about Tim Banks as a co-defensive coordinator to DJ Durkin. I think that's a really big get for Auburn in the safeties department, and I think it will go a long way, just like Coleman Hutzler, to elevating the floor of this entire defensive staff.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's made too much that you're taking someone that was fired. I hate to break it to you, probably a majority of coaches have been fired at some point. And yes, if it helps you, you're thinking of it the wrong way. It's not like you just took someone's fired defensive coordinator and that's your sole defensive coordinator. You're taking someone to bring in to be focused on particular groups. So there's going to be more focus, more attention, less spread out. And maybe that's what they need during a time like this. And certainly he's been given the title of co-defensive coordinator, and certainly there's going to be responsibilities for that. But some of that's just entice some of these guys in that bring a lot of value to a staff that is already, as you said, so complete, with so many defensive coordinators already on it, so much experience, SEC and otherwise. I think people need to, really think about that. So couple that with an up-and-comer guy. I think with that defensive back room should be really excited, not just for the players that are there, but also for how they can continue to build upon what's been ironic to see Auburn become a defensive back DBU of sorts. Some people are going to take issue with us saying that because they think they can have the title to that. But just look at who we keep putting in the NFL, and they keep showing up and showing out every single week in the NFL too. So there you go. That is your defensive staff, and excited to see how they do. Very, very quickly, let's certainly talk about special teams just to round out here. We have a new special teams coordinator. That's going to be Jacob Bronowski, who's going to be focusing on the kicking, the returning, all that stuff. And if, offensive line was going to have the most scrutinizing of its group, certainly this would be the secondary one, with penalties, with everything going on there, inheriting, hopefully, Alex McPherson, and everything's going to stay the same there, whether it's his own decisions or health or things like that. But certainly he's got a lot of good to inherit on special teams, but a lot of things that need to be worked on. So I think all eyes will be on the special teams coordinator.
Yeah, certainly. And like you said, hopefully he inherits a lot of talent that just hasn't quite lived up to it. Both punters, I think, should have the opportunity to return. We'll see if they do in Hudson and John McGuire. I think that we'll see. But I think Hudson had bright spots this year. Hopefully we'll get to see the chance of him being a little more consistent and get the opportunity to learn under Jacob Gronkowski. Coming from Pitt, I think, is that right? Yeah. I was trying to pull up his resume and my phone's being slow. But regarded, obviously, it's an Auburn press release, so you would hope it's favorable. I'm not saying that's like Taylor Bryan does a phenomenal job. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you would hope it is good. However, I think is standard or industry wide is considered one of those guys who Pitt has their things together when it comes to special teams. Gronkowski and Golish work together at Tennessee and USF. So yeah, you're hoping to see that Auburn special teams stabilized. I like how you put it with the offensive line. It's probably the next unit that you're like, Auburn just doesn't need. They've had, when you have the streak of all those extra points made for so long and all the kickers Auburn sent to the league, it's become a bit odd to see Auburn
Yep.
struggle in the special teams department. And I don't think it sits right with a lot of people. And so I think he's got a tall task ahead of him of just making sure, whether it's being disciplined or whether it's instilling confidence, that the special teams unit needs to get back on track. And it's one of those units, just like offensive line, where if you're not talking about them all that much, they're doing the best job they can.
Yeah, I think it's a good analogy. That's a group you don't want to be talking about as much. And that usually means that they're doing their job, because you certainly are talking about them when there's penalties every single kick return, punt return, whatever. And obviously when there's just shocking, fallouts and the ability to make field goals for whatever reason. But certainly a lot of scrutiny there, and some of that is justified. So he's certainly going to have a lot of eyes on him. So that's your staff for the 2026, hopefully beyond, many years beyond, Auburn football team. Let's talk about the future. We now have an official 2026 schedule. All dates, all opponents, how they're going to lay out. And they revealed that once again in a grand old TV special that I know Austin loves.
Why not?
Just slowly working it out. I actually don't mind these. I'll be honest with you, Austin. I think at least for the schedule reveal of this type, it's fine. But there are some times with the college.
Just send us an email.
I know. Just let us know. But here we have the official thing now. Now, most of this has kind of been able to piece together just some clarity in terms of actual dates. We knew non-conference stuff, although there was a lot of changes of that this week. In fact, we will do that on another episode of everything that was announced basically for the next 4 years and beyond in terms of non-conference opponents, some changes there too. But let me give you the full thing. We'll break it down, talk about it, see what we think. Obviously, Baylor, it's a neutral site game. We've talked about it in Atlanta. We don't need to go into it necessarily again.
A neutral location, but is considered an Auburn home game.
Yes, I know I was going to get you started again there. Let's rein it in.
Mm-hmm.
Southern Miss will be your kickoff on the Plains, Auburn, Alabama, Saturday, September 12th. Obviously, that first game was September 5th. September 19th, Auburn versus Florida to kick off the SEC first-time 9-game schedule in Auburn, Alabama. Vanderbilt at home then. So 3 straight in a row ending on September 26th. We'll then go on the road at
our
Tennessee.
September home games. Yeah.
We'll get that. He has so much things that he wants to rant on here. Tennessee on the road. That's going to be nice to be back having that again. October 3rd at Georgia right after that in Athens.
A bye right before that. Yeah.
Bye week. Yes. October 17th. Thank you for the clarifier. I almost forgot to mention that. October 24th, we'll be back home for LSU. Then on the road, October 31st, Halloween for Ole Miss at Ole Miss in Oxford. Saturday, November 7th, Arkansas back home. Saturday, November 14th, Mississippi State and Starkville back home on the 21st for Sanford and then the final home game. And then Alabama in Tuscaloosa for the greatest rivalry in sports. So, Austin, there's 1,000 different ways we can talk about this, analyze this. Primarily, I think we want to focus on the SEC part of that because that was the only new thing outside of, I think, a new non-conference opponent, which was, I think Sanford was a late add and change. Am I mistaken in that? I think it was supposed to be Jacksonville State. Are you?
Yeah, no, that's correct. I had not really picked up on that until you just said that.
Well, the only reason I knew, to be fair, FBS schedules, I was preparing, hadn't had it that way, and then I realized, wait, now we got this here.
Yes, no, you're right. I actually looked at that a few days ago, because I saw that and I thought Jacksonville State is coached by Charles Kelly. I thought that'll be a fun storyline. Southern Miss had a vacancy at the time, and I thought that it could have been filled, and that would have been quite an interesting thing as well. It was filled by someone else, but yes, but you're right. So Sanford's come back down, who also have a new coach, and they hired John Gross, I think, who was at Jacksonville State during their heyday. Anyway, but yes, the SEC slate, like you said, first time with 9 games. This Auburn will get the benefit. No, they will not. They will get the detriment of having 5 of the 4 on the road in 2026. So more road SEC games than home games. And like in any year, it's a gauntlet. but I think Auburn came away with some fun ones. But certainly for me, the story is about where they are and when they are. And it just is not great, Kyle. It's not great.
Maybe at the end here, we'll say how we would have fixed this, but let's address it. Here's the great thing. We've been begging and pleading for more Florida, and we get it as our first SEC game at home. That's awesome. Now, I wish it feels like it should be more of an October game, but hey, we'll take it. Look,
we aren't allowed to have October games, so
I'm excited to have the Gators back so early, even with all that. It's going to be hot, all that kind of stuff.
It'll be hot. But I mean, you talk about all the storylines with this year, these last month of who's there. They have new coaches there as well, and that will be fascinating to watch. And like you said, I haven't been. I actually looked this up. I have not seen. I went down to Gainesville in 2019, but I have not seen Auburn play Florida at home since Trey Smith blocked a punt and flipped into the
Same here. And
I was 10.
Wow. Thank you for that. First of all, I was in college, first couple of years of college, I believe. Yes. And
that's a travesty though, to have Florida not, they've played, whatever you prefer. They've played since then. I think one year I had a youth group event, another year I had something else. But
you're using the term youth group talking about this is not.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that's one, and Tennessee is another. I know we're going up there, but it's just been so many. This is the best part about them going to 9 and fixing this just ridiculous scheduling nonsense is that we get Florida in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and like you said, it's the first SEC game of the year.
It's going to be a fun one. I'm just happy it has finally arrived again. We all have feelings about how the schedule was chosen to lay out, all that kind of stuff. But just seeing Florida on the schedule and even better at home makes everything a little bit better. Tennessee, certainly we got to go to their place, but that's another. There's an element of that as well. But I think Florida means just a little bit more to the Auburn faithful. Certainly, there's Auburn and Alabama on the road. They still haven't fixed that. Don't understand why. Maybe that has just as much to do with Auburn than it does.
I have no idea.
I don't know. It seems so obvious that we fix this, but it doesn't happen. We've talked about Vanderbilt being the other third of the every 3 years here. It's the gauntlet. Every single year, Auburn seems to get saddled with an October that it's like they say, here's a bye week in the middle of it just so you can have some peace.
No, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count. It really doesn't. I mean, let's just be real about this. What we're talking about is the gauntlet. And you probably could extend it depending on if Ole Miss can figure themselves out. Ole Miss in this too. But let's just go with the 3 that we're pretty sure are going to be the gauntlet. At Tennessee, going to Knoxville for the first time in forever on October 3rd. You got that bye week. Then you go to Athens, Georgia. And then you come back with LSU and Lane Kiffin. I mean, what are we supposed to do with that?
Just thank goodness it's at home with LSU, but it's bonkers. I don't know. I'm more flustered and upset by just why we can't get a couple October home games. I understand we're getting LSU in October at home and wait a minute. Okay, I guess LSU will play Alabama the week before, right? Yeah. I was thinking that was the 3rd Saturday in October. I thought, oh my, how have we not heard? Oh, that's Alabama, Tennessee. Excuse me. Forget whatever I'm talking about. I'm so out of it. Anyway, that October 24th game against LSU in Jordan-Hare, it'll feel like that's what Auburn football is. It's playing LSU, a rivalry like that in Jordan-Hare in great, what's supposed to be, we hope, great weather. But man, I don't know why we have to have daggum 3 home games in the blistering hot as hell September that it is, and then we're off for 3 weeks. I don't know. It's like you said, it's been almost every year for 5 years where we can't get a favorable October schedule, and they love to rave about the atmosphere and the what you see at Jordan-Hare Stadium, but we just keep getting butts handed to us with the schedule in October. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm at the point where I'm just like, whatever
at this point.
We'll take our lumps with it. And like you
Yeah.
said, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU is going to be hard no matter what. If they were all at home, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
But that's the meat of the schedule, though. And that's going to be the one where you sit here and you say, I hope Auburn can get one or two of those. That was kind of similar to our Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia set this year, where we were like, you just got to survive that.
Yep.
Now Auburn didn't do that this year. So that will be a part of the portion of the schedule that Auburn will have to go through, and it might be a little bit rough around here during that time. So we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. And certainly you see the Mississippi schools back on the schedule. Just for familiarity's sake, that is certainly nice to see as well. Get them back in after so many years of playing them every single year. Arkansas there as well. It'd be nice to have someone to beat up on, hopefully. Sorry, Arkansas.
Please.
I mean, just really there. All right, two things that I want to talk about here and to round out our schedule talk. One is a proposal, Austin, that I would like for you and I. We know we're going to agree on this already. I don't even know if you know where I'm going with this, but
I don't.
Okay. There are certain things that occur every single year on your football schedule.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And I'd like to make a proposal where what's going to happen, what's going to happen, and what should happen. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Let me lay it out.
Yeah. I'm just thinking.
Kickoff on the Plains is already set, which surely
it can't be both.
Surely it can't be. Maybe it will be, because it would be coming home to the Plains.
No, you can't do that.
I agree. So it looks like, Austin, what I'm talking about here is homecoming. Where is it going to fall? A little prediction time. It looks like we're safe for the first 2 weeks. I don't know that it's going to be Florida. I don't think they can do that. They can do whatever they want. Vanderbilt certainly is having a wonderful stretch of time for itself. So certainly, maybe they might take a step back next week. So that seems like your prime thing there, right in that the 3 to 4 slot seems to where they always put it, which would still be September. I know
you can't go any late. They don't. Well, you can, like you said, They can do whatever they want. They don't usually go any later though. And like I just lamented, we're in the abyss for 3 weeks after that.
I would like this, and let's just acknowledge it. Sanford is going to be, it's the last home game. It's going to be senior day.
Correct.
I'd like to make a proposal. And I'm going to tell you what my proposal is and why it's not going to be it also. It's going to be Vanderbilt. Let's just go ahead and acknowledge that. I think that it's, unless they want to do the Florida thing, which
I'm kind of thinking it'll be Florida.
It might be. As cool as that would be, I don't want it. Homecoming should be no earlier than October, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Arkansas is sitting right there at the very beginning of November. Let's be honest, the back portion of that schedule for home is not great. Let's just be honest, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. We want to celebrate the seniors, all that. Both the other, Alabama's on the road. You're going to need something a little extra special. I'm proposing. It's not going to be, because it's going to be military appreciation game. I'm 90%
Arkansas.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that's going to be. But that is my proposal. So that is my belief. Do you agree or disagree? Homecoming will be Vanderbilt. It should be Arkansas. Agree or disagree?
I disagree slightly. One, because because of homecoming, and such a big part of homecoming is Miss Homecoming. And the voting of a Miss Homecoming who can implement their cause, and November 7th is a bit late, and so I don't see that happening, and I don't really see that as a likelihood or something that could be done. I really think the latest they could do it is October 24th, and I don't think they'll do LSU. I think it'll be Florida with I think it could be Vanderbilt. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't think it'll be anything but other than those two. And I'm not really sure. I don't really see a reasonable argument besides just like nice weather to put it past that.
My proposal, acknowledging all the things that have to happen alongside homecoming, it's when it should be, because of things that it'll do for that part of the schedule. Also, the weather, all that stuff. But you're right. Florida is kind of cool, but maybe they don't want that overshadowed by the excitement of Florida. And so Vanderbilt kind of is sitting right there for the taking. We'll see if that ends up how it is played out. So final piece of this, we've analyzed the schedule. We got a whole year to continue to analyze it. This is just our initial thoughts of it. I'm not even asking for early predictions. Normally I would do that, but we're running low on time. I'd like for us really quickly to fix the schedule. So can't change the opponents. You can't change where they're played. I have already given mine, and I can try to do it again from memory if I can from our reaction stream.
I can't change where they're played is in the location.
The location, yeah. So at home, or home and away stay the same, but you can change dates. How would you, if you had the ability to fix the schedule in its layout, what would you do? Obviously, you can't change Baylor. It's going to be a neutral site game. But if you wanted to switch things around, how would you fix it, Austin?
That's a really good question.
Putting you on the spot.
I'd break up the first 3 weeks of October. Certainly, you've heard me already whine about that enough. I think I would, and I think that comes down to I'd move Vanderbilt. I think I'd move Vanderbilt probably to. I like the bye before Georgia. I think I would just probably move Vanderbilt after Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'd move Vanderbilt after Georgia. That moves you up to Tennessee at September 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Your first weekend in October is a bye. That's no fun, but it can still be hot around here during that time.
Sure.
And then you're at Georgia, and then Vanderbilt and LSU are back to back in October. And it gets you, it kind of spreads out your home schedule. The first 7 weeks of the year are 3 home games to start or a neutral, then 3 home games to start it off. You can move Vanderbilt out of there and kind of spread it out, spread the wealth down the semester. I think that's what I do. I don't really have a problem much with the rest. Maybe switching Arkansas for Tennessee or Georgia. I think you could make an argument to get Georgia back in that Mississippi State spot to like it was back in Amen Corner days. Maybe you move Florida out of there too. I think that's what I do though. That or just have a meaningful home game in November.
Yeah, listen, as much as I'd love to see Florida in October, it kind of feels special to have it there for this first time forever. So I'm not even really worried about that. And I've been rethinking what I believe I said on that reaction stream a little bit, but here's what I know I would do. You got to fix the back half of the schedule and its interest. How about that? You got to have a marquee game there. I think you move somebody into Arkansas slot. And I think there's a couple candidates where the obvious choice would be Georgia, but just to make things simple in terms of not trying to switch up too much of this date was at home, this day was on the road. I'm going to say, let's swap LSU and Arkansas. Put LSU, again, we're talking about our choices. There are much more that goes into this schedule, like of their schedules as well.
Well, that's the biggest reason. You know who plays on that first Saturday.
I understand. Yeah. I understand. But I'm just saying, like, that would work perfectly. But even if you don't agree with the LSU side of it, let's move, then you'd have to do the whole situation. Move Tennessee there, or even flip-flop Florida down there or something like that. I think you've got to switch somebody out in that Arkansas. Arkansas should have been in the middle of that gauntlet, and I think that fixes that. Maybe even slide Vanderbilt down a little bit. Yeah, there's the point of this. The biggest issue we have with this schedule, if just having things to rant about, is the gauntlet in the middle and how that lays out, and the fact that you don't get to see Auburn hardly in the month of October, which this last year was just lovely. I mean, just let's be honest, it was just, and we had some of the best weather, and it's a travesty that happened. So that's our separate proposals there for maybe how you fix a little bit of this outside of not having a neutral site game, things like that, and things that have been complained about for years about Georgia and Alabama being on home and home, away and away. But there you have it. Our thoughts and opinions about the schedule, our opinions about how it should be fixed. And of course, we'll be grumpy old men about it, but be thankful for when it arrives, because 2026, several months away, but it'll be here before you know it.
Yep.
That'll do it for episode 154 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, want to keep you guys up to date with us by following us on social media. You can hit us up in our email, e2cnetwork@gmail.com. I'm kind of on Twitter personally. If you want to find me at Kyle Loomis 24, where can they find you?
Yeah, appreciate everybody keeping up with us, staying late with us at Austin G. Scott on Twitter, on Instagram. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas season.
You as well, sir. And we're going to have hopefully much more to talk about next week with schedules and stuff, because wow, what a week it was of news. And we did as good a job as we could to get out of here in an hour and 10 minutes essentially of recording time, but well over that, our normal scheduled time to be together. Thank you all for your patience and sticking with us throughout it. Till we talk to you again, I want to remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things: do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, we went well over our time, and I have to break away too, so we can take rapid fire, like 1 or 2 questions if you want to drop them in here fast. Reminders for you before we get out of here: your scheduled content for the week. Next up is Auburn Family Night at 9 Eastern time on Wednesday. Live call-in show should join us for that. We'll be happy to have you there. Big basketball matchup post-game show will be Auburn-Purdue this Saturday. Right after the game, we'll be going live, so join us for that. And then, of course, we'll be back next Sunday with an Auburn Experience live podcast recording, episode 155. Check all that out. Links in the description for things that you need. I want to give a shout out to an individual that gave us a super chat, Mr. Hunter. And I think this was in reference to my my headphones.
I got cord too.
You do got yours blended in though, and typically they can't see my cord as well. Listen, sometimes there's something. It's like vintage to have your cords there, and Sure. And also, I saw there was a little bit of Wi-Fi issues for me throughout, so hopefully it wasn't too bad for you guys. But this was a necessity for family.
It's holidays, man. We're all moving around,
trying to spend some time with family. And I apologize for any noises that also occurred during a certain part of our segments. I'm sure that they were coming through as I was sending signals to people to move away from certain spaces. Anyway, I think we've gotten most of it covered. Anything else for you, sir?
Not much. No, I think we appreciate everybody being active tonight and having a good time, and plenty to talk about. And thanks again for staying a little bit later.
Yes, and thank you, sir, for sticking with us a little bit later too, Austin. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and we'll be back with you later this week. Myself, Austin will be back next weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Until we almost did the wrong one. Until we see you again, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things: do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We also ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.